Hi there, my name is the Drama Goat, and today I'm here to discuss my one-act play production curriculum with you. If you've ever wanted to produce a one-act play, but maybe don't have a lot of experience, this is the product for you. So this is an entire course where the goal and the objective is to put on and perform a one-act play. So it's from beginning to end, the initial research, the rehearsal process, technical elements, and into the performance with tips and tricks along the way to help you out. Thank you for clicking on this video. This is going to be an in-depth preview of the product. When you purchase this curriculum, you'll receive a zip folder to download. And inside that zip folder is going to be everything you need to execute this curriculum, including supplemental materials. You're going to want to go to the document called Scope and Sequence, which I have pulled up here. And this is going to be your hub to execute the curriculum. Since this is an in-depth preview video, I'm going to go over it with you and tell you all about it. So at first we have a statement of purpose. This is tips and tricks concerning performance rights, fundraising, getting administration on board, and all sorts of things like that. It's important that you purchase scripts and performance rights before you do this curriculum rather than trying to do it during it, because there's going to be a lot going on, and you want to make sure that you can actually do the show legally and that you have space for the performance as well. So get all that taken care of before we even start the first day of this course in class. That is probably the most intimidating part, just getting all that squared away, so I have a lot of tips and tricks for you. This is designed for a class of about 24 students that meet every day of the week for approximately an hour in class. There are each lesson's sequence is involved, and then there's also optional but strongly encouraged homework assignments just to keep things moving and refer back to content you've gone over in class that day. As you can see on page 2, there's a curriculum structure overview. So this is the calendar of what you're going to do by each week, along with your National Core Art Standard that you're working towards. So your goals, and then a summary of how you're going to reach those goals is right there. Further down, we go and do it step by step, starting with weeks 1 and 2. So I have that overall goals for that again. And then we go into a daily break view. So each of the units has a learning objective and then a lesson sequence. So that's what you're going to do in class that day, starting with a writing response, which is what I kind of call my bell work or do now. It's called a lot of different things, but it's just an anticipatory question or quote that applies to your content that day. So weeks 1 and 2 are about ensemble building, so that's building community, working out group dynamics, and as well as play analysis. So you're going to make a list of major and minor dramaturgical elements to get into your theater research and just do an overall analysis as well. So you can see day by day, there's day 2. I have activities and tips throughout this for you. So at the end of each unit, there's also optional homework assignments that are strongly encouraged throughout. Whenever you get to anything like a quiz or a handout, a PowerPoint, a worksheet, that is all included in that zip folder by corresponding name. So be sure to just take a look at that. So we go over stage elements, or stage directions, There's a list of materials you're going to need to execute that unit, groupings, and then accommodation and modification ideas for your students with disabilities or other challenges that are specific to theater. because that can be a challenge with how to modify for those students' needs. And then the units also include an assessment rubric right there. So week 3, we get into research, which is what dramaturgy is. We research elements of the play, like, if it takes place in a certain time period or a place, or, there's social convictions in the piece. You take time to research that and really understand the play. So that's a great cross-curricular connection. Again, we have those materials, modifications, and accommodations. Week 4, we focus on fundraising, so we come up with ideas for fundraisers. So we can fundraise for those sets and costumes and whatnot, in addition to ticket sales. Fundraising is a great way to get in touch with the community and start to establish some of those partnerships through selling advertisements for your show. And again, it's in the same structure, with materials listed and assessments. I have a whole list of fundraising ideas right there that you could use. Of course, go over it with your administration or, whoever is in charge at your place you're doing the show. But those are some suggestions for fundraising ideas. So I just have tips and tricks like that throughout there. Week 5 is pre-production week, so students are choosing a technical theater elements to really focus on, and they'll have those production meetings with that group. So they're working on all the elements of technical theater at the same time, just independently in small groups, which is why I suggest a class size of about 24 is about your sweet spot. There are very few things that are not included, but I have you create a comprehension quiz for your play, so that's going to be dependent on whatever play you're choosing, so I can't include that. But really, other than small things like that, this is a no prep curriculum. So I have instruction for costume design, lighting, sound, and then finally selecting a stage manager. They're going to kind of be your right-hand man as you go through this production process. Week 6 is about casting the show, so selecting the actors who are going to perform each role. Not every student also needs to be an actor in addition to the production design. It's kind of set up to split those out, actually, because not every student wants to be on stage, and that's okay. So 6 is about casting and creating the promotional materials, such as posters, tickets, etc. Week 7, we're getting into character analysis and development and beginning the design elements. I realize those are going to look differently for each situation, each theater company that you're with. So just, do the best you can with whatever you have. I have some tips and tricks there for scenery, as well as the other technical theater elements. So I have it broken down by what students need to do depending on what group they're in. Those homework assignments are optional, but are really strongly recommended just so you can stay on top of things. They're designed to only take about 20 minutes a night, so not too bad. Week 8, you continue rehearsal and design and just check in with everyone since you're at the halfway point. All of these weeks are structured the same way, with the lesson sequences and materials you're going to need. There's accommodations and modifications. All those things I talked about earlier are with every single week. So really, you just follow this curriculum sequentially and you can't go wrong. Week 9 is a bit of the same with formulating some cues. So, when the lights are going to come on, when the curtains are going to close and open, so on and so forth. I talk about rehearsal costumes and pieces with some tips and tricks, of course. Got several forms that students fill out as you're going through this curriculum, so you can kind of check in with your students and see what groups need more support. This is a great course to do with a co-teacher if you have one available. Weeks 10 and 11 are continuing to rehearse and actually pausing rehearsal in weeks 10 and 11 and helping to build a show. So starting with scenery and props and then doing costumes, installing any equipment you've purchased or rented, and getting off book, which means memorizing your lines for those who are doing the acting. So week 12, you're polishing the build and promoting the show. So you're finishing the touches on those sets, sets, props, and costumes, and continuing to rehearse and printing and posting your promotional materials to begin to sell tickets. I have some group mindfulness just because this is kind of when things start to get maybe a little bit stressful because you're starting to promote the show and you want to make sure plenty of people come and get those tickets. Week 13 is when you start running the show, so those technical theater designers become the run crew, so the behind the scenes people for the show. And your goal really with week 13 is to take the show from a crawl to a walk, so it means you can run it slowly with a moderate amount of interruptions for cues and whatnot. We also create the prompt book that has all the cues listed in it, and I have activities and trackers for that, of course, that are included. Week 4 is run the show and begin a cue to cue, so that's when you just do all of the important cues in the show rather than running the entire thing, since there might be long periods of dialogue with no cues. You just kind of skip through it and go cue to cue. That's what that means. So week 14, we're doing that. And then week 15 is a show week. So you finish the cue to cue, you have a dress rehearsal, and then your performance weekend or 2 weekends or whatever it looks like for your specific production. At the very end of my curriculum, I have some show notes. I have a glossary of important terms, especially for my folks who might not have a whole lot of theater experience. This will help you a lot with kind of getting that language and that vocabulary of theater in your mind and in the minds of your students as well. I have a couple of suggested playwrights. I'm not under any partnership with them. It's just playwrights I enjoy reading that have a lot of great children's theater. I have modification notes if you're doing a virtual production. That's going to change a couple things, but it's absolutely doable. It's happened many a time, including in my own experience. And then I have notes on creative lighting solution suggestions if you do not have access to professional big lights in your performance space, if you're in a cafetorium, if you're in a classroom, wherever you are producing your show in or going to be performing in. If you have any questions, please go down here to the end where it says connect with me, and that Linktree link will provide you a plethora of ways to contact me. I'm happy to answer any questions I can. There are also tons of social media groups, including Facebook groups for theater teachers or just people who are producing a one-act play, as well as sometimes there's even specific social media groups relevant to the specific play that you're producing. So that can be helpful as well, just to ask questions, maybe rent things from other folks who've done the same show. There's just a whole lot of support out there. You just have to find it. Again, I'm not able to include scripts with this because those are not my intellectual property. They are the property of the playwright and the licensing company that show is licensed under. And it would be impossible to provide a play that meets everyone's community needs as far as what kinds of students you have, social issues you might be interested in addressing in a one act play, community values, and so on and so forth. So that's why a script is not included. But this is, again, curriculum for an entire semester's worth course where your goal is to produce a one act play. So that is a play that takes place all in one go. There is no intermission, no musical numbers, anything like that. It's just a straight play, no music, and it's only one act long, which is usually about 45 minutes to an hour length. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to contact me with any questions or for more information. Thank you.